Welcome to First Opinion once again in the Mr. Lewis Moon Hub, or this room that we film the videos in, whatever one you want to call it. But today I am here to discuss last night's episode of Doctor Who, Extremis or Extremis, which was the 6th episode of series 10. So let's get into it. So let's have a recap first of all. So far I thought the pilot was a very good start to series 10. I thought Smile and Bill, of course, I thought Smile was very enjoyable, but there were quite a few things that could have been improved. Thin Ice was a really good historical romp. Knock Knock was a scary, chilling episode, but with problems towards the ending. Oxygen was an almost perfect episode, and that was my favourite in the series, at least so far. What about Extremis then? So basically, the Pope arrives. I know, the Pope, zooming around in the Pope-mobile. But the Pope is here, and he's wants the Doctor to read a sacred text, a book hidden inside the Vatican, in one of its libraries, the Hereticum, in part of the Hereticum, sorry. There's a book called The Writers, and basically everyone who has ever read it or worked on the translation has now died and committed suicide. So quite an interesting plot, I think, quite intriguing. From the synopsises, it was one of the ones I was looking forward to the most, but I'm sad to say that I didn't enjoy it as much as I hoped. Extremis was an episode which deserves a rewatch, I think. It wasn't the greatest episode of Doctor Who ever. It was very different than what we've had. I mean, we've had this really enjoyable, fun, sort of really accessible, light sort of style to it. I wouldn't say this episode had it as much. It had some very dark tones, with the suicide and the monks, terrifying villains. So yeah, I'll start off with the bad. I thought the ending was kind of a bit silly. I thought it was all overly complicated and ridiculously dark for Saturday night television, and I believe it went back to what it was in series 8 and 9. Now, I loved series 9, but it wasn't great for new viewers and younger viewers, and this goes into that same category, I believe. So I'd like to see what some of you younger viewers think of the episode, and what people think of the episode. Remember, you can drop your comments in the section below. I didn't really like the idea that it turned out to be all a sort of computer game sort of thing. It felt a bit silly, felt a bit odd, and the episode just left me a bit cold. And I'm so sad to say that, because it had been one I'd been anticipating for a long time, and from the looks of it online, it's about half and half. About half of the people say it's going to be a classic, it's the best episode of the series, and then half of the people say that was awful, what the hell was that? I fit in the middle part of that category, because there were 4 things I loved about it. One was the Missy scenes. Now, you know that Missy is back, and we learn that she was the one inside the vault. it was quite obvious, I thought, this reveal, and we'd been suspecting it for a while. It was so typical of Moffat, this episode, but this wasn't typical of Moffat, because it was so obvious, and it was quite disappointing to have Missy inside the role, because we knew it was coming. I wanted it to be, I wanted John Sim to be appearing in this episode, but he didn't, and I'm ashamed. But Michelle Gomez was good. She showed a different side, and it was good to see that the Doctor wanted to guard her body for the next 1,000 years, because he's as a priority of the Prydonian chapter, as he's a member of that. But I liked the Missy scenes. I thought it was a great way to show how Nardole properly came into it, and the Doctor's life. And Nardole, that's on to point 2. Nardole was brilliant in this story. Like last week, I said that Nardole, I didn't like Nardole in Husbands of River Song. I really liked him in Return of Dr. Mysterio. In the first few episodes of this series, he sort of felt pointless. But in Oxygen and the Extremis, Matt Lucas has really impressed me, and he's given some really funny work, some really serious work. It's very great to have him on the team, and it's great to have a proper TARDIS team. Pearl was great again, and I thought the sort of reaction between Bill and Nardole was great to see, because we haven't really seen them together much, so it was good to see that as well. I thought, third point, the monks were very intimidating and very creepy, and it's great to have a proper threat in Doctor Who. And we're going to see more of those over the next 2 episodes, because it's a 3-parter. So we're going to see what happens with the monks, and there's going to be a big monk invasion over the next few episodes, and that's all going to be good in Pyramid at the End of the World and Lie of the Land. And then finally, I'd like to say that it looked fantastic, but I'm sure I'll talk more about this on Podomatic, so that's at Doctor Who Time and Space at Podomatic. You can view my podcast weekly, and you can watch it there. So brilliant to see people listening to it. Thank you. But you can see that every Saturday. We've got our our Oxygen full review up by this time. So verdict then. I think the episode probably gets a solid 7 for me. It sort of left me out cold and was the weakest episode of Series 10 so far, if not... Yeah, I believe it was the weakest episode of Series 10 so far, and it will be one which divides the fandom and also the audiences. So I'm looking forward to seeing the AI scores for the episode, because those have sort of what your opinions were, but I'd love to hear your opinions. But yeah, so far my top episode is Oxygen, second's Thin Ice, third's Knock Knock, fourth's The Pilot, fifth Smile, and then last is Extremis. Thank you for tuning in today. I'm sorry that this video has been delayed, because I usually get it out at about 10, 11, 12 o'clock-ish, but I'm afraid due to some commitments I've had to delay this video by a few hours. Thank you for tuning in. I'll be back next Sunday. I might have some videos midweek, like you can see my Guardians of the Galaxy review on the Mysterious Being YouTube account, and there'll be links to some of these things in the comments below. You can see all of my first opinions videos and my Doctor Time and Space podcast below. I will see you next Sunday for my first opinion on Pyramid at the End of the World, and that looks like a good one. It's by Peter Harness, who did the Zygon 2-parter, one of my favourite stories of all of Doctor Who. These are the Zygons. Thank you for tuning in. I'll see you next time, same space. Goodbye!